Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Happy Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into another week of Morning Jocks. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell here with you for the next hour as, man, oh man, what a weekend of college football that we have to break down for you. A couple of fan bases very happy this morning. A couple of fan bases maybe not so happy this morning. But certainly if let's say you're new to this whole college football thing, I think at this point we can just expect that every single weekend is going to be absolute insanity, and that's what we got this weekend. You had 9 of the top 25, 9 teams lose in the top 25. Now, some of those, yes, were ranked on ranked matchups, but still, I mean, that is over a third of the top 25 that fell this weekend in college football. We have more coaches being fired, one right here in the SEC. No, that one still has a job. But yes, there was one coach that was fired in the SEC. There's just so much going on, so much to get into, and we're going to have a great day here on Reaction Monday. But I know it was a big weekend for some of us around here as well, Damian. So how are you doing on this Monday?
I'm doing fabulous, man. Over the weekend, I proposed to my girlfriend, and fortunately, she said yes.
There we go.
So I am an engaged man, dog. It has been an exciting weekend, man. One for the memory banks. Now I will say, so my teams, they fell short. Some of my teams that fell short, but all in all, I won.
Yes, you absolutely did.
I won.
Congratulations are in order. Very happy for you. I know
that.
I know you're a lucky man, and I'm glad that she said yes. And very excited for the two of you.
Yeah, and I know we talked about it, during the break, before we started the show and stuff. And I was saying that, man, I've played football, I've had those butterflies before a game and things like that, but nothing. No matter how prepared you think you are, nothing prepares for you for when you actually get down on the knee and propose to your girlfriend. Because again, for the most part, the answer is going to be yes. You have the feeling, but like the moments leading up to it, and it's like that was probably the most nerve-wracking experience I've ever gone through. Like it was, my heart was beating out of my chest.
It's a big moment.
Oh, it really is. It really is. Everything on my body was just sweating. Like it was awesome though. But shout out to the future Miss Mitchell here in the near future. And of course, like you said, everybody was asking me, so when is the date? And it's like, wait a minute, hold on. She just said yes.
I was saying, just enjoy it for a little bit.
Yeah, like she's military, so she's like, this is a 50-meter target. Like this is the first step. Now after that, we can start planning. There's a lot of things that go into it, but just shout out to my wonderful now fiance Taylor, and I love you. And it's been she put the cherry on top of what was just an exciting weekend, man. But on the football level, it's so like you said, some fan bases are a little bit more excited waking up this morning than a lot of others.
Yes, and that's why I wanted to, again, of course, congratulate you and celebrate you on a big life accomplishment over the weekend. But I also want to start with that because you're probably not going to enjoy the rest of the show. So let's start in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, with the first part of Damian's misery from over the weekend. Because if you have followed along for any amount of time before this football season, you know that Tennessee was Damian's one true love. Well, really, Josh Heupel. He's a Heupel disciple, as he says. So this was a big opportunity for Damian on Saturday to run out there on that field at Bryant-Denny Stadium and really make a statement for his favorite football program in the SEC. But unfortunately, they had to settle for Joey Aguilar. And if you're an Alabama fan, you're probably not too upset that they had to settle for Joey Aguilar. But so let's start at the beginning. I mean, this was a fantastic game, really through and through until the very end when Alabama kind of started to separate themselves. But I thought, first off, right, for Alabama, I think you have to start defensively for them. I know eventually they gave up a touchdown to tie it after getting that first stop early on. But, I mean, they were firing off the ball early in that game, and I think you have to give a big shout out to Yanze Pierre because he was a big storyline in the first half of that game, especially on the defensive side for Alabama with 3 sacks for him. So that was really, really impressive to see. Of course, Alabama, they drive down on their first drive, go and put 7 on the board, which we've gotten accustomed to them doing this season, really operating at a high level. Isaiah Horton caught a little pass there for a 2-yard touchdown to start the scoring for Alabama. But then, as I said, Tennessee, they're able to respond, tie things up. And again, I mentioned him, Yanze Pierre getting in there, causing trouble for Joey Aguilar, forces a safety in the end zone. You're starting to feel the momentum really swing towards Alabama once that happens. But you got to give, again, credit to Tennessee because they, they would find ways to battle back into this game. But you get the safety, you drive down, score a touchdown, make it 16-7. So now Tennessee's got the ball. They're driving down the field, probably feeling pretty good, right? Because if you score here, it's going to be 16-14 going into halftime. 2-point deficit on the road against Alabama. You can live with that if you're Tennessee. So thankfully, the final play of the first half, Joey Aguilar, he drops back to pass because they didn't have any timeouts left. So you knew they weren't going to run the football. So what do they run? Play action. And this is what happens.
And it's a play action pass, and it's intercepted. Zabian Brown with one man who can catch him. Zabian Brown all the way. Touchdown, Alabama.
You were there, Conrad. How loud was that play?
Yeah, I'm trying to just, I mean, going back for some of the games that I've been in Bryant-Denny Stadium for, that easily one of the loudest moments I've ever heard in that stadium. It was just a 14-point swing on the final play of the game, or the final play of the first half, excuse me. But when you add in the fact that, okay, great, right? He makes the interception. You're not going to give up points. You're going into the half 16-7. And he's streaking down the sideline, and he's got one man to beat, and he gives a little hezzy, and then boom, that's it. Just the fact that he was able to complete that play and turn it into 7 points for Alabama was massive. But yeah, that was one of the loudest moments I've ever heard. I felt really bad because I'm sitting in the press box, and the guy next to me is there covering Tennessee, and
You start doing backflips, probably pulled out your cigar and getting ready to light it up at that point, pretty much.
Well, we're just having, we had been talking the whole game and having good conversation. He's a really nice guy, and then that play happens, and you could just tell his whole mood kind of shifted, and he just felt a little defeated after that, and understandably so. But yeah, that was the big play of the day. There's Zabian Brown, his 99-yard pick six there before the half. So Alabama, now they're going into the half. Instead of it being 16-14 potentially, it's now 23-7. And so they would come back out. They got the ball to start the third quarter. You felt like if they scored a touchdown there, they were really going to go for the final blow. But credit, again, to Tennessee, right? Their defense stopped Alabama. Tennessee goes down the field, scores a quick touchdown on yet another explosive run play that this defense gives up for Alabama. Deshaun Bishop, I thought he was excellent on Saturday. Him and Staley, the receiver for Tennessee, were really they were a problem at time for Alabama. And so credit where credit is due there. But again, just this Alabama team, it feels like every time when they need to come through with an answer, they give it to you. And I thought this week especially, right? You scored 14 points in the second half. Yeah, you only outscored Tennessee 14-13 in the second half, but you took care of business in the first half. And when you needed to finish drives and put points on the board late to kind of seal the deal for good, you were able to do that. So I thought that was really nice to see for Alabama. But Ty Simpson, again, another really sharp day for him. He has 253 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, did have that one fumble There was kind of a weird play there. Rushing game, not a whole lot going for Alabama. Jeremy Bernard was your leading rusher, and a lot of it was because of that busted
Felt
play.
like it was one play.
Yeah, that should have been a loss of about 8 and turned into an 18-yard run. And then got to give credit again to Ryan Williams because we've given him a lot of criticism, and rightfully so, I would say. But he made every catch he made on Saturday was a tough catch, and he was making them with his hands.
All hands, baby.
So that was very nice to see. But yeah, a big win for Alabama. They win 37-20, fourth straight ranked win for the Crimson Tide, the first team in SEC history to win 4 straight games without a bye week against ranked opposition. And now the reward is a road trip to unranked South Carolina this upcoming Saturday. But what do you have? What are your takeaways from the game, Damien? What do you think of Alabama's performance on Saturday?
It continues to show that Florida State game was needed for Alabama to see how low it can possibly get, because all they've done is answer the beck and call week after week after week. Ty Simpson is by far QB1. Like it's no question that he has the pulse of this team. You've seen the defense step up when they made plays, and just over the weekend, Alabama forced Tennessee into making a lot of mistakes, and Tennessee didn't do too much to really help themselves either. Third downs, it seems as though they were in 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12s most of the game, and Joey Aguilar had a terrible game. Like he looked pretty bad in situations, and a lot of that was because of what Alabama was able to do defensively, especially up front. And when he added shots, he was inconsistent. So I think that a lot of things culminated into what was a dominant performance. And I know we talked about that Jeremy Bernard play, but that really was kind of besides the pick six, that was kind of the soul crushing play for Tennessee, because that was at that point I think they were only down 10 at that time. You make that stop, it's 3rd and long, extremely long, and the chances of them getting it are kind of slim. So you never know how that game could have swung, but it's just kind of one of those things that Alabama, they start snowballing. And right when you think you got them, they find a way to make a play. Of course, Latzir Brooks, a true freshman, continuing to step up and make plays. And this team is starting to mold itself into what it really could be, what it really can be. And that's a championship level team. It's hard not to say that Alabama is one of the contenders for not just the college football playoff spot, but I wouldn't want to play Alabama right now the way that they're rolling, because Ty Simpson is confident, the receivers are confident, the offensive line is stepping up, and when they need to, and even though they don't run the ball at a high level, they're effective when they do. Because
when they need to run the football,
they can do it. They can do it. So I think this Alabama team is really starting to gel well at the right time. We talk about teams peaking at the right time. Alabama's definitely doing that, and that didn't stop on Saturday. But that cigar smoke filled up quickly in Bryant-Denny.
Yes, it certainly did. And again, if you're an Alabama fan, you got to feel pretty good, all things considered, because I know a lot of this came, in garbage time at the end of the game, and Alabama's just kind of, they're playing soft coverage, whatever, just trying to get Tennessee to run the clock. But Tennessee had more yards of offense, more first downs. They had more rushing yards, and you still found a way to win the game. And a big part of that, again, for Alabama is this is becoming a trend now, which is good. And what you want to see, again, the less penalized team and yet another big SEC matchup there for Alabama. So they've kind of shifted that narrative finally when it comes to being undisciplined and heavily penalized, and that certainly goes a long way. So a big win there for Alabama. Let's wrap it up by hearing from Kalen DeBoer. These are some of his comments right after the win, a big one for his Crimson Tide.
Just really proud of our guys. Another gutty win against a very good team, well coached, and just they constantly put pressure on you, especially with their offense, and they got some playmakers defensively. Wasn't perfect. You'd love to have no turnovers and all that good stuff, but our guys just did a nice job of continuing to fight, just like we have been, and we played for 4 quarters.
So there you go. There's Kalen DeBoer. He brought up the pressure. Tennessee, number 1 in the SEC in sacks going into the game, had 0 sacks. So big night for the offensive line there for the Alabama Crimson Tide. But as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, some fan bases feeling really good this morning. Some fan bases maybe not feeling as great and searching for some answers. So we got to cover it. What happened down on the Plains this weekend? Auburn, another top 25 matchup for them. So close, but yet so far. We'll break it all down for you next right here on JOX. $6:19. Welcome back into Morning Jocks here on your Monday morning. A chilly Monday morning into the 40s around the Birmingham area this morning. But as always, we appreciate you making us a part of your morning each and every day right here on JOX. So Alabama, they get a big win over Tennessee this weekend. Auburn taking on Missouri, a familiar opponent because we saw them do battle with Alabama last weekend. And look, you knew going into this game for Auburn, right? You're 3-3, but you've got another game at home. It's a night game. The atmosphere is going to be incredible. We saw some vulnerabilities for Missouri last week against Alabama, I thought, right? You saw that Ahmad Hardy was human. You saw that Bo Pribula was prone to making some mistakes when pressured. And so it felt like, all right, this is an opportunity for Auburn, right? Because I will say this about the Georgia game, right? And I know it really only applied to the first half, but progress had been made. It had. It felt like this team had taken a step. Now they weren't able to take 2 steps that they needed to take to win that game, but they took 1 step. So I felt like going into this game against Missouri, you really did have an opportunity if you were Auburn, but we all needed to see something change before we were going to believe, right? And very similar to the Georgia game, I thought, at least early on, right? You have a great first drive. Offense is firing on all cylinders. You go, all right, here we go. Let's get it going. Then the second drive comes around. Boom, Cam Coleman streaking down the sideline. Perfect pass. Probably would have been a touchdown for Auburn. Right through his hands. Right through the hands. Couldn't have thrown a better ball if you're Jackson Arnold. What happens on the next play? Throws his first interception of the season. That right there, that sequence of great opening drive, score a touchdown, boom, defense gets a stop, get the ball back, chance for a huge momentum play early in this game, perfect deep ball down the sideline. And this time, it's not Jackson Arnold that we can blame. It's Cam Coleman who, dropped one of the easiest touchdown passes he probably would have ever had as an Auburn Tiger. And that right there, and then it leads to a turnover, and Missouri has the ball back. That's kind of Auburn's season in a nutshell, is it not? Like, unfortunately, that's just kind of the way that things have gone for Auburn so far. And, after that first touchdown drive, you really didn't have anything going until late in the third quarter. Again, the offense really stalled out. Part of that is you had 4 big drops in this game from your wide receivers. You had 3 in the first half, and then obviously you had that one late that potentially would have set Auburn up to win that football game in regulation. And those are the things that just absolutely can't happen. You missed 3 field goals. I know one of them was going to be difficult, but you felt like 2 of them you had a really good shot and probably should have converted on those. Again, if that happens, you win the football game in regulation. It's a broken record, but it just feels like for every positive thing you can say, you turn around and somehow Auburn is finding themselves in yet another situation where they're going to lose the football game. This time, again, you look at it, you had more yards of offense, you had a better rushing game, you won the turnover battle at home, and yet you still found a way to lose this game in double overtime. I think there's a lot of people today that are, quite frankly, searching for answers, Damian, wondering what needs to change. Is there anything that this team could do to get over the hump? And I think right now, I know you got Arkansas coming up this weekend, and that's a more manageable foe, but you probably don't even have that much confidence that that's going to go in your favor, to be honest with you right now.
It's almost like Auburn is inventing new ways to just lose football games. And I think that's the frustrating part because, one, your defense is doing everything they possibly can. They held Ahmad Hardy to 58 yards rushing, 52, 50?
24 carries for 58 yards. That is 2.4 yards per carry.
The nation's leading rusher.
Correct.
Had 58 yards on 24 carries, and you still don't find a way to win the ball game.
They had 91 rushing yards as a team.
Come on, man. Like averaging 271. Came into the game averaging 271 yards on the ground. You did exactly what you needed to do. Make Bo Pribula beat you. And he didn't throw for a touchdown. He had 2 picks. It's unfathomable how offensively this team can look the way that they do. Because, one, Jackson Arnold, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It's starting to make sense a little bit. Because Cam Coleman, for as talented as he is, you can't have the drops that you're having. Like, these are just unexcusable. Like, you can't. You have a touchdown. Like, it's a touchdown ball. Jackson Arnold can't put it anywhere. He couldn't have put it anywhere better for you to run up under, catch it, and go literally just walk into the end zone.
It's like Ryan Williams in the Georgia game.
Yeah, and then on a hitch
right
route,
there.
It hits you right in the hands, and you drop it. Those are things like this is what bad teams do. They find ways to continue to be bad in certain situations. Your offensive line, they're just not that good. There's just no other way to put it. They're inconsistent. But when you're able to run the football as effectively as you were, yes, some of the yards were hard earned, but when you had them, you gashed them. You absolutely gashed a Missouri defense that's looked at as one of the better defenses in the conference. Like, the recipes you had were made for you to have success, and yet you still can't get over the hump. I don't know what it is. I cannot quite put my finger on it. But offensively, for Auburn to have not scored more than 20 points, they hadn't scored 20 points since SEC play has started.
Yep.
They're
the only team in the SEC that has not scored at least 20 points in a conference game.
And come on now. Like, I don't know where it can go. I don't know how bad it could be. Like, you look across the SEC as a whole this weekend. We're seeing Texas and Kentucky in a dogfight. Mississippi State and Florida. Florida 1 still fired their coach. Like, it's one of those things where even looking at it and watching the ball game, you started to think, oh man, that Jordan Hare magic is starting to sprinkle a little bit. Like, they're going to find a way. And the play calling in the second overtime, it's probably one that Hugh Freeze, I don't know how you can really say – I don't know how you can kind of gloss over the fact that on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, you run the football in that situation. Not with all those receivers that you have, you decide to run the football and thinking, oh, we're going to surprise them. And then the last play was just absolutely atrocious. And then for him to mouth some stuff on the sideline like we got folks open, like throw the ball, it's – at that point, it's literally the game was on the line at that point. So I don't know how it can get better for. I don't know where you can go, because this season, to me, if it's going to be the same old spiel after every we're close, you're going to find yourself after the Iron Bowl not playing in a bowl game, because you're not going to find any sort of win on your schedule. Because look at Vanderbilt. You can't see.
You're not winning that game.
You're
right
not
now.
beating Vanderbilt.
No.
And Arkansas offensively,
I was about to say, what do they do?
They can put 40 on you.
They score points.
Right. They may not be able to stop you, but also your offense hadn't done anything to show that you can even get started consistently. So I don't know where Auburn can really go, because now you're at a crossroads of this thing can get off the rails and get off the rails quickly, because of the rest of the way. Think of Kentucky. Yeah, they're not that good, but they just took presumably the number one team coming into the season to the wire in overtime, and really should have won the football game. So the rest of the schedule doesn't really deem in your favor of, oh, you're going to figure it out. We're 8 weeks into the season now. You are exactly what your record reflects it is, because yeah, the Ball States of the world, you're done with them. You got Mercer. All right, congratulations. But the rest of the way, it's conference play. So if it wasn't going to be ironed out this past weekend, I don't know where you could sit there and say, all right, this is where we can improve to the fact that this season could be salvageable enough where we can get a decent bowl game.
Yeah, it's not looking great right now on the Plains, and I know, I know a lot of people are frustrated, and again, I know it doesn't mean a whole lot coming from me, but I mean, if you're an Auburn fan, you deserve better, and I think a lot of you realize that. And I think a lot of you want something that's better. I don't know if that's coming at any point this football season. I got to give credit to Nathan King from Auburn Undercover. He put this stat out there over the weekend. It kind of tells the tale of what Damian was just talking about. In the fourth quarter and 2 overtime periods, Auburn ran 15 plays in Missouri territory, so that across midfield. Of those 15 plays, they gained a total of 14 yards of offense. That has got to be better, and that has certainly got to change for Auburn moving forward. So we want to hear from you as well, 205-834-9450. That'll get you on the Courtesy GMC text line, get some of your thoughts on what happened over the weekend. But there's still so much more for us to get to. So as is tradition on Mondays now, me and Damian, we're going to give you our biggest takeaways from the college football weekend. That's coming up next right here on Morning Jocks. Welcome back into Morning Jocks. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell here with you, recapping a crazy weekend of college football action. And we're about to get into our overall takeaways from the weekend, but spending some time breaking down Alabama's win over Tennessee, Auburn, their double overtime loss to the Missouri Tigers from over the weekend. But quickly, did want to give a shout out to the UAB Blazers as they had a major moment over the weekend, and it was really, really cool. You know, when I was in Tuscaloosa, I'm in the press box before the game, and some of us are kind of just talking and getting a bite to eat, and you start to see people swarming around one of the TVs in the press box area, and you realize that it's the UAB in Memphis game, and before you knew it, there were about probably 25, 30 of us all standing around this one TV watching to see if UAB could hang on and pull off the upset over Memphis. And that's exactly what they did. So UAB 31-24, they get a win over number 22 Memphis. And Alex Mortenson's debut as the interim head coach there 1 week after Trent Dilfer was let go by the administrators there at UAB. Just what a fantastic moment for them. What a win. Ryder Burton, he makes his first start at QB. He had thrown one pass this year, one pass. He goes 20-27 for 250, 3 touchdowns. And man, oh man, Iverson Hooks for UAB. What a dog. 11 catches, 172 yards, 3 touchdowns for UAB as they get an absolutely massive win. And you could tell how much it meant to not only Mortensen and his debut, but to the players, to the fans, everyone that was there. It was an awesome scene. And so big congratulations there to the UAB Blazers as they get a massive win over Memphis this weekend. Also, the big news that came out yesterday, as we now know, if you missed it, is the Florida Gators. They beat Mississippi State over the weekend. They got a big interception there late on what would have been, you would assume, probably a game-winning field goal attempt for Mississippi State a couple of plays later. But Billy Napier, he gets booed by the Gators fans walking off the field after a win, and then he wakes up on Sunday and no longer has a job. So the Florida Gators, they part ways with Billy Napier. They're going to owe him roughly $20 million. And the sweet deal, if you're Billy Napier, is even if you go out and get another job, they're still going to have to pay you the full amount of your buyout. So Billy Napier, the latest SEC coach to be shown the door. Will we have another one in the near future? Maybe so. I know a lot of people probably would expect that Hugh Freeze would be next on the chopping block. A lot of LSU fans not happy right now with Brian Kelly. So we'll keep an eye on that. But Billy Napier, he is out there at Florida, and we'll get into what direction we think the Gators will go a little bit later in the week as far as their next head coach. But let's get to our takeaways from the weekend now, Damian. We just kind of throw a couple of things out there, what really stood out to us from the college football weekend. And so I'll start off, and this might be kind of a hot take for some people, but that's okay. I'm going to explain why. But I think after this weekend, I feel really confident that the SEC is going to get 5 teams into the college football playoff. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Obviously, I mean, you can go and look at the newest AP poll and see what that's looking like. And, of course, it's a lot of SEC teams there are included in the top 25. But you look at, so Texas A&M, they're 3, Alabama's 4, Georgia is 5, Ole Miss is 8, Vanderbilt is 10, Oklahoma 13, Missouri 15, Tennessee 17. So right there, I mean, you've got, 7 teams in the top 17 that would be considered, in the conversation right now. And I feel really, really good about a couple of things here. So Miami and Texas Tech both lost over the weekend. So that makes it more likely that the ACC and Big 12 would only get 1 playoff team in this year. Now, maybe they still get 2 or one of them gets 2. But that certainly is going to help out the SEC. The Big 10 now, you've got Indiana, Oregon, and Ohio State, which I think we all agree are playoff teams and look pretty sharp so far. You don't really have anything after that. You look at the top 25 right now, the next Big 10 team, so you have Oregon at number 6 and Indiana and Ohio State ahead of them. The next Big 10 team is Illinois at 23. They already have 2 losses. So it looks like the Big 10's only going to get 3 teams in, and this is my hot take right now. So I think 5 teams get in from the SEC. I think Alabama, Georgia, A&M, and Ole Miss are all in really good shape. the final weekend of the season, Damian, Tennessee and Vanderbilt play each other. And what, honestly, if you look at their schedules, I could see both of them being 9-2 going into that game. That could be a playoff, like a stamp your card, your pass to the playoff if you win that game.
And it's wild that we've gotten to this point. And kind of going off of that, one of my takeaways is it's in quotation marks. This ain't your mom and daddy's Vanderbilt team anymore.
No, it's not.
Like, this Vanderbilt unit, after what they did to LSU, it's so different nowadays that we can sit here and have a conversation that Vanderbilt is one of the best teams in the SEC. And it's not hyperbole. We're not joking about this. It's if you do not play your A game, they will beat you. And they will do it physically. They will do it ugly. Like, it is one of the more remarkable feats, because I still think coming into the season, we all had our question marks of how much are we going to get past the Cinderella story of Vanderbilt. Now it's, I don't want to play Vanderbilt this week because it's not even an upset anymore. Just because of the name and what Diego Pavia has brought to Vanderbilt these past couple seasons, they believe like they're good. And they're going out and performing at that level to where now it is not even a question. They're one of the best teams in the SEC. And no matter who you are, you can say what you want. You don't want to play Vanderbilt at the pace in which they're playing right now, because it's going to be ugly and it's going to be a physical. You're going to know that you played Vanderbilt that Saturday, and LSU caught that this Saturday morning.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Vanderbilt looking very, very impressive. And again, I'm just saying, go look at their schedules, and it's not the craziest thought in the world that they could be fighting for a playoff spot until the final week of the season. All right, another takeaway for me, and Carson Beck is Carson Beck.
We knew we had. I'm with you. I was holding that sliver of hope of
it looked like it might be different.
And boom, right? He got us right where we wanted us. He got us. He fooled us at first. It's like, wait a minute, Carson Beck, it may actually be worth some count. Here we go. This is what happens.
Yes, it is. So if you missed the game, so Miami, they got upset by Louisville on Friday night. I know a lot of people probably out doing high school football events and maybe weren't able to watch it. But he throws 4 interceptions in that game, including one there in the final moments to really seal the deal for the Louisville Cardinals. But, yeah, I mean, again, you could even just say it's Miami being Miami, right? Because we've known them to trip up in these situations. And Louisville's a good team, right? But it's an unranked opponent. You feel like, again, you look at what's ahead for Miami in their schedule. They were probably expecting to go 12-0. You know, their difficult games were over. They had taken care of USF and Florida and Notre Dame. Like, they were riding high, right? And then Louisville, comes in. They stumble. Carson Beck throws 4 interceptions. And now, again, Miami's fine. They're probably still going to make the playoff. They should go 11-1. But it doesn't give you a lot of confidence that you get into a big game situation that Carson Beck is going to be able to come through for you. So that was another one of my big takeaways. What else you got, Damian?
Notre Dame might mess around here and make the college football playoff. Amongst everything that happened to begin the season, Notre Dame has done nothing but kind of fly under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, y'all, everybody ahead of them starting to lose. They start to dwindle, and all Notre Dame has been doing is just winning quietly. But I think the win over USC this weekend kind of put everybody on notice that, hey, don't forget about us. Do not forget who we are and what we do. And I think what Marcus Freeman's been able to do is, now with all these job openings coming up, his name's starting to bubble a little bit. And he's like, wait a minute, let me handle my squad and what we're doing right now and get back to me at the end of the season. Maybe we can see where it can go. But I think Notre Dame is quietly starting to put themselves back into the college football playoff discussion.
All right, my final takeaway from the weekend, and that is, hey, if your coach is struggling, fire him and let the offensive coordinator run things. Because you look at UCLA, they're now they've got a nice little winning streak going. They've won 3 games in a row over there after starting off 0-4 and looking horrendous. UAB, they get a massive win over the biggest win they've had in years on Saturday after letting Alex Mortensen take over. And look, I know they didn't win the game, but Arkansas put up 42 against Texas A&M. And again, I know they haven't won, but this is back-to-back 3-point losses to top 20 programs, and Arkansas can't stop anybody. So I'm going to give a lot of credit there to Taylor Green, that offense, Mike Washington, Bobby Petrino. They've they've got a little juice there. So that would be my big takeaway is a lot of these schools having some success getting rid of their coaches and letting the offensive-minded guy take it over.
Yeah, and my final takeaway is we legitimately do not know who the best team in college football is. Some people could say it's Ohio State, but when you look at just the rest of the parity that we have in college football right now, 2025 is just going down as one of the most insane seasons we've ever seen because of what our preseason, I guess you'd say, misconceptions were or what we thought the season would be has not even come close to playing out how we expected. And I think week to week, it proves why college football is why we're so addicted to it because we legitimately do not know what can happen on any given Saturday.
No, and it's awesome, and I'm absolutely here for it. So yeah, it's been insanity again. I mentioned at the top of the show, but 9 of the top 25 teams in the country lost this weekend. That is over a third of the top 25 that fell this weekend. So that is it's been an awesome season, and hopefully that continues as we march along towards the college football playoff and beyond. But we want to turn the conversation over to you now. We've given you our takeaways. What were your takeaways from Alabama, Auburn, UAB, and more? We turn the conversation over to you next here on Morning Jocks. 6:47 here on your Monday morning. Conrad, Damian with you. A few more moments until we hand you off to McElroy and Kublik in the morning, recapping a wild weekend of college football. And based on the calls and texts that we've been receiving, a lot of you have a lot of thoughts on what took place over the weekend. So let's get to it now on the Courtesy GMC text line as well as the phone line. So let's go start off. Let's call Poe. He's been waiting on hold for a minute here. How we doing this morning, Poe?
Hey, man. Good morning, Damian, Mitch, and Conrad. Real quick, and I know people got to do something, but I'm going to try to say this real quick. Mississippi State, they went down there. They totally blew that game. Being a Mississippi State fan, I hate it. Kamarion Taylor going to score his first touchdown. He's going to do the Florida chunk. He should have did that. That was I didn't like that because you don't do nothing like that in an episode like that, dude. You got to have a right kind of mind. And it just Blake Shapen, my quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like him. I need a new quarterback down there. Now for Auburn, man, y'all shouldn't lose that game. Daniel Mitch, you said everything that I wanted to say, so I'm gonna move on from that. Auburn shouldn't have lost that game. Alabama, I appreciate y'all for avenging my loss to Tennessee. But real quick, I'm going to say this. When I told my family this when we was in there watching it, I said, something don't seem right. I said, I've been watching college football too long for this. Something's in the happen. Tennessee need to take the 3 points. And what happened? That young man caught that pick, and he went for a pick six, 99 yards. I've been watching college football too long to see these coaches do stuff. I knew it, man. I felt it, man. And I also told them, I said, the second half, this game is not going to be good. And I knew Alabama was going to do something in that first half, but with them trying to run and get that end zone play. Now, Texas and Kentucky. Mark Stoops stupid. I don't know what he was thinking about. He should have beat Texas, man. He's just a dumbest. He's not the brightest bulb in enduring things. But, hey, it's your boy, Poe. I love y'all. Other folks got to get on. Man, Mississippi State, get a new quarterback. I'm out.
Appreciate you, Poe. Thanks for calling in this morning. All right, there's Poe's takeaways from the weekend. Let's go to Scoobs real quick. Talk a little Auburn and Alabama from the weekend. How we doing, Scoobs?
Doing well. I hope you guys are as well. I'm going to make this short and sweet. I know everybody's wanting to get on really quick. The level of noise in Bryant-Denny, there's been a lot of loud moments, but I would compare this downsizing to the Tennessee moments. I think that was louder than when Mount Cody blocked the kick. That was just the electric atmosphere at night. Anyway, the volume there was intense. I'm going to piggyback some of what y'all already said because I already kind of had a point, but you briefly touched on it. When you go to Auburn, there's a classic saying that says you're only as great as your last game. Auburn hasn't been great for a very long time. When it comes to coaching decisions, you guys mentioned Arkansas, the momentum that they've been having. Have they fell short? Sure. Look at UCLA. Obviously, look at UAB. There comes a time in everybody's, career where you got to make a change. I think Auburn should pull the plug, see what's on the other end. And I'm just curious what you think about that. I hope you have a great Monday, man.
Appreciate you, Scoobs. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people that are ready for the plug to be pulled there with, the coaching staff and everything that's going on. I would just say this. It'll be very interesting if you saw the reports yesterday about Florida State and they're considering making a decision on Mike Norvell and potentially letting him go. If that happens, how do you defend Auburn and Hugh Freeze anymore? Because if Florida State is willing to fire their coach, who's owed 3 times as much money as Hugh Freeze, he went 13-0 2 years ago and almost made a college football playoff, won his conference, went undefeated, and they're ready to cut bait with him, and Auburn's still holding on to Hugh Freeze. Like, you can't defend that anymore if stuff like that happens. I think similarly for Billy Napier, right? Billy Napier won 8 games last year. Has Hugh Freeze won 8 games? Don't think so.
No, he hasn't.
They fired him. You can't defend it anymore. It is what it is. And if they want to ride out the season with him, then that's perfectly fine. But a change is going to come. Change has to come. It's inevitable. I feel like you should probably just rip the Band-Aid off, but that's not, how they're operating right now, and that's fine. But
and they probably don't know who would be his successor because
no. They don't want to get rid of Hugh Freeze.
Mm-hmm.
They want him to work and succeed, and they want to be able to keep him around, but he's not. It's
when the product is the way it is, it's hard. Like you said, it's hard to defend. It's okay. Yeah, we brought you here to fix your expertise is the offensive side of the ball, and right now the offense can't do anything consistently. And again, when you haven't scored 20 points since SEC play started, again, it's just hard to defend it.
Yes, it certainly is. All right, let's go to the courtesy GMC text line here and get a couple of your thoughts as we close out the show. Appreciate a lot of you chiming in, giving your well wishes to Damian this morning after the news of his engagement over the weekend. So very nice to see that. John Mack chiming in. He says, only one fan base undefeated in the SEC, the fighting Texas Aggies. He says, Jabba the Hypel did what he always does, as did Joey Freshwater. And John Mack riding high as Texas A&M continues to have a great season. This text rolls in. It says, I feel confident Alabama will go 11-1. Roll Tide. They've got an opportunity to.
Roll Tide.
No doubt about it. Fanboy chimes in. He says, Xavier Brown is the best cornerback for Alabama. Well, it's certainly not Damani Jackson. Let's see. Don. He chimes in with his thoughts on Auburn. He says, good morning, guys. Same result for Hugh Freeze. I guess the car didn't start again for John Cohen. Might be time to replace it. We won't be able to score enough points against Petrino, so I guess we're about to lose 5 in a row. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out which game. We have a Tennessee fan who's upset about the officiating. He says, I'm not blaming the loss on the refs, but I would love to see an actual well-officiated game in the SEC at some point. I saw so many Tennessee fans whining about the officiating in that. You lost by 17. You threw a 99-yard pick six. I don't think you lost the game because you felt like you didn't get one holding call. It was like loser mentality. Sorry.
It's all good, man.
Jimmy chimes in. He says, why is Hugh Freeze employed today? I guess John Cohen's car did start. Or maybe he just hasn't made it into the office yet to make that decision. And then Bammer Abroad, he says, I stayed up until 4 a.m. watching the Tide beat the Vols, and it was worth it all. Appreciate you chiming in this morning. We'll see you tomorrow at 6. Mac and Cube is next.